this competition. This could seal it! Wouldn't you know it? Unbelievable!
The celebrations, there they are.
Oh! Talk about a grandstand finish!
Well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The fairy tale is complete. The Central Coast Mariners, champions of Australia.
And a very good evening to one and all on a glorious evening at Coopers Stadium for Adelaide United against Western Sydney Wanderers. Two sides who shared top spot between them for the opening 5 rounds of the campaign. But things have gone a little awry for both since. The Wanderers have won just 4 matches since, the Reds just 3. And so tonight is hugely important for both to try and get back on track. And if last season's meeting here is anything to go by, then we're in for something of a treat. That day, 12 months ago last week, by the way, they played out a crazy 4-all draw. And of course, both teams did end up playing finals football. Might we be in for more of the same this evening? Let's hope so. Adelaide probably need 6 wins from their final 10 games to make absolutely sure of a top 6 spot. They haven't beaten the Wanderers here in Adelaide, though, in over 6 years. The Wanderers currently occupying one of those top 6 positions, but a run of 1 win in 5 has the red and black looking rather nervously over their shoulders, with, of course, the big Sydney derby to come next weekend. Tonight, though, it is the city of churches, and the weather has put its best hat on for us. A glorious night. And the stats boffins slightly favouring Adelaide United, even though they are 4 without a win here at Coopers Stadium. That's their worst run since 2012 at this venue. In terms of the team news, the Reds make 2 changes, both enforced after Hiroshi Ibasuki and Josh Cavallo both sustained injuries against Sydney FC. So Harry van der Sarg starts his first A-League game in 470 days. And Ben Halloran is also recalled to play the central striking role. Nestor Irankunda is also back, albeit on the bench. Zach Clough plays his 50th A-League match for the Reds. He has 6 goals and 5 assists so far this season. Well, we mentioned the last time that Adelaide defeated Western Sydney Wanderers, November 2017, and Ryan Kitto scored both goals in a 2-0 win that day for the Reds. But it's been slim pickings ever since, at least here at Coopers. Now the Wanderers have made 4 changes. Aidan Simmons returns after suspension, with Dylan Shikluna perhaps a little unlucky to be relegated to the bench. Alex Bonnetig is back in place of Gabriel Kleur. Jorrit Hendricks has also served his ban and replaces Oscar Priestman in midfield. And Brandon Borrello makes his first start since the Sydney derby back in late November last year, with Marcus Antonsson likely to be out for the foreseeable. Young striker Nathaniel Blair is included on the bench. There's Brandon Borrello back in the city where he was born. He is yet to score in the A-League this season. Very injury disrupted, of course, but he did net twice in a 5-1 win over Adelaide in the Australia Cup at the outset of the season. And he is leading that team huddle. One of 3 with Adelaide links, and the starting 11 for Wanderers today. Daniel Margush in goal is another, and of course Lockie Brook a third. There's Carl Veert, who says the finals are still a possibility and that the Reds will fight until the last ball is kicked. But he knows they have to start winning soon if they're to avoid missing the finals for the first time since 2020, when Gert-Jan Verbeek was in the coaching chair. John-Paul De Marini takes charge of the Wanderers again, with Marco Redan still serving a touchline ban, although Redan will be available for that Sydney derby next weekend. Our match referee is Alex King, who was on 4th official duty last night in Queensland for Brisbane Roar against Western United, game 130 for the Queensland official tonight. So the countdown to kick off on a perfect evening in the city of churches is on. And it's the Western Sydney Wanderers in all white tonight. 2 kickers off. Adelaide winless in the last 4 at their normally fortress-like Coopers Stadium. And the Wanderers equally desperate to protect that top 6 spot. And that last win for Adelaide United, November 2017, Ryan Kitto with the 2 goals. And a certain Robbie Cornthwaite was sent off in that game, and he's alongside me in commentary today. How are you, Robbie?
I'm well, thank you, mate. Really warm welcome there. I'm feeling really happy.
Love.
Yeah, really happy to be back alongside you. But no, all jokes aside, it's great to be back and calling this game where, as you mentioned, both sides desperate for slightly different reasons. Wanderers trying to stay in touch with that top 4, and Adelaide trying to kickstart their season with not too many games to go.
Well, the Wanderers have got the game's first corner inside the opening minute. Josh Brillante to deliver the outswinger. Marcelo the target at the back post. And there's a clash of heads there between Stefan Mork and Jack Clisby, which looked nasty at first glance. And both will require treatment.
Full commitment from both Clisby and Mork.
Ouch.
The former Red skipper just getting there first, and Clisby just catching him there. We spoke about the desperation. It's on show early. Full-blooded, going for that aerial challenge. Looks as though both players are back up on their feet. No blood from what I can see at this stage, and hopefully both are okay to continue.
Well, Alex King will give both players all the time they require. Can't afford to take too many chances with head knocks. James Illich, known affectionately as the Doc, here at Adelaide United.
I think they're all called the Doc, aren't they?
Yes, I think they probably are. But he's been around the traps for a long time with this club. And he'll go through the protocols with Stefan Mork. The Wanderers doing likewise with Jack Clisby.
It was an early test for the Adelaide United defence, that corner kick from the Wanderers inside the opening 60 seconds. And I had a keen eye on Marcelo because we know the way he loves to attack the ball in the air from set pieces. Scored a wonderful goal against the Newcastle Jets a couple of weeks ago. And he's one to watch from the dead ball.
Stefan Mork got the whack to the back of the head. Just a couple of good chances last week against Sydney FC. Stefan Mork yet to find the back of the net on the resumption of his Adelaide United career, the 3rd time he's been back with the Reds. This is Isaias, who's the only other player left from the grand final winning team of 2016 against the Wanderers. What a day he had that particular sunny afternoon down the road at Adelaide Oval. It's a good lean over the top, that by Ethan Alagic, forward towards Halloran, and it's going to be a throw-in for Adelaide United.
Yeah, Mork coming back's forced a little bit of a reshuffle this last few weeks. Zach Clough obviously been fantastic this season, one of Adelaide's main sources of goals.
Lopez with the cross, steered clear by Marcelo, picked up in the deep by Alagic, and it'll sit nicely for Kitto.
Here is Clough on the ball. He's sort of been forced out wide. He has got a really good delivery, but just feel like he does his best work central, and maybe an out-and-out winger would maybe suit Adelaide a little bit more out on that left-hand side, but Carl Veert's opted to play him out there once again.
It's the old Ange Postecoglou problem, isn't it? When he had the likes of Rogic and Moy and Luongo all together, how to squeeze the ball in.
Yeah, the Mariners wide men came inside a lot last week, and that did cause some issues for the Wanderers, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Zach Clough floating in between the lines.
Another heavy collision, and Ben Halloran will need some attention, and Alex Bonatic is going to go into the book, and Adelaide are not happy with that challenge from the young defender. They feel that was high and a little reckless. So a bit of sorting out for Alex King to do. Yellow cards waved in the direction of Bonatic. And Halloran is still in a fair bit of discomfort.
There's a bit of a nothing ball from Javi Lopez. Wasn't over the top. Foot definitely raised there.
It's Van der Sar, and my apologies. It's Harry Van der Sar.
Foot was definitely raised from Bonatic. I don't think he saw Van der Sar coming, but yeah, definitely reckless, and rightly a yellow card, and move on after that, I think.
Yeah, it's dangerous play.
That said, Harry Van der Sar still down receiving treatment. I know when you get a whack on the front of your hip flexor just above your hip, it can be pretty painful, but
And he's showing Alex King his battle scars and saying, what about that? Stefan Mork had a bit to say as well.
Studs were definitely a little bit raised, but I think he was certainly going for the ball.
But he clearly caught Van der Sar. Of course, the last thing Western Sydney Wanderers need is more issues with suspensions. That's going to sting in the morning. Harry Van der Sar after that long injury layoff. And after no small delay, Zach Clough is ready with the free kick. Now the runners make their move. Clough. Flat delivery to the top of the box where Lopez was stationed. Van der Sar. And a good clean take at the near post by Daniel Margush. Spent 5 years with the Reds, but struggled really to make the gloves his own. Just 7 first-team appearances in that stint. Oh, that is going to be sore, isn't it? Ouch.
Yeah, we said the studs were raised, and obviously he's caught him there. We've seen more given for those types of challenges, but I think I was comfortable with a yellow card. I know intent is sometimes an interesting thing in football. He had eyes for the ball, and I'm pretty comfortable with a yellow, to be honest.
I guess people, or some people, will say, well, what's the threshold for dangerous play? I'm not dissatisfied with the yellow either, but equally I can see why Adelaide's hackles were raised.
Yeah, most definitely. I think too many times in games across the world in football, you see something like that. Was there really any danger of seriously injuring his opponent? Maybe a small one. But the last thing I want to see really there is a red card given in the second minute of the game, unless it's absolutely deserved.
Yeah.
And I think with the reaction of the Adelaide players as well, although they remonstrated a little bit, I think they probably would have been comfortable with the yellow as well.
Spoken like a defender. That's offside, by the way. That was sent off after 21 minutes here at this fixture.
I must say, one was a VAR for handball, second handball. So we all know what a lot of people think of the VAR.
I couldn't possibly comment, Robbie. Red Army behind the goal, being defended by James Delianov away to our left. Alagic back for Lopez. It's a decent switch that from the Spaniard. Opens up the pitch a bit for Ryan Kitto to drive forward. And Adelaide have got numbers in the box. If they can pick one out, Stefan Mork arriving. It was a good late run. Just not the right contact.
We mentioned Zach Clough coming inside. That allows the space for Ryan Kitto to get forward with that left foot of his. Maybe not the greatest of crosses, but maybe saw Mork arriving late in the box. He's so good at that and did it on plenty of occasions during his first stint here in Adelaide.
Clisby's copped another clock to the head. This time off Isaias.
This one looks like it hurt a little bit more than the first. And 50-50. Oh, it's elbow into elbow into the neck there. It's been an up and down season for Isaias, Reds legend. One of the most popular players in his prime here at Coopers Stadium, but a little bit up and down this year. A couple of mistakes last week, and maybe just highlighting the lack of options in that position for Carl Viet. I know he's a big fan of Jay Barnett, who's also at the club. He's been out long-term with a hamstring injury. I did hear pre-game that he's not too far away and could be back within the next week or so. But, you know, when you've been out that long, regaining your match fitness is obviously going to take a while.
Yeah, Carl Viet's had his injury concerns this season. And it's of most concern to Marco Redan at the moment that Jack Clisby is having treatment for the second time in the opening 10 minutes. Getting 1 or 2 boos from the Adelaide fans. He ended his career as a player here, of course, with Adelaide.
I was here. Yeah, played alongside or in the same squad as him for for a season or so, I believe. I can't remember. My memory's not all that great of my career, if I'm being honest, Simon. But yeah, definitely spent some time here. Here's that incident again. Certainly leads with the elbow. I'm not sure whether he catches him with the point of it, but Clisby obviously pretty sore there.
Well, they've got to be really mindful of the fact that that's two pretty hefty blows to the head that Jack Clisby has taken, and this is football, not boxing. Wanderers will continue with 10. Well, in fact, Jack Clisby's now back with us. But they'll be keeping a close eye on Jack Clisby, the Wanderers. Delianov. Wanderers pressing. Badalato trying to close down the goalkeeper. Wallen to go long. You're a bit surprised Ben Halloran is starting at the point of attack tonight, Robbie, with Luka Ivanovic available?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm a big fan of Luka's, and we're more accustomed to seeing Ben in the wide positions. But that said, the second leg, the semi-final last season against Central Coast away from home, he did play as that number 9.
He has played there a fair bit, to be fair to him. It's not that he can't play that role.
Just think it plays into the fact that Adelaide have maybe not got the right cattle in the right spots. You've got Clough out on the left. You've got Halloran through the middle, Van der Sarg, who most people would know as a fullback on the right wing. I wouldn't say it's a makeshift front three, but certainly maybe not players in their out-and-out positions.
Aidan Simmons with the throw, back in the team after serving that suspension. Ferried back to Daniel Margush, who will put his boot through it. Milanovic was looking for any sort of mistake from Kikianis. Clisby. And that's an intelligent ball through the gap by Badalato. The cross, though, from Milanovic is beyond the two attackers for the Wanderers. Look at Brandon Borello chasing back. Isaias digs it out and plays it out towards the left. Interestingly, Ben Halloran is now operating on the left, at least for the moment, with Van der Sarg on the right. It's almost sort of two false nines. Ryan Clough and Mork arriving late.
Hey, Ryan Kiddo's the most advanced
on
that left-hand side, so I'm not sure whether they just got out of position or there's a rotation that they've been working on.
Little push by Kitto on Marcelo. And a little grab of the shirt for good measure. Hendricks looking to go through the guts of the Reds' defence, but Kikianis was there. Van der Sarg, Alagic, straight at Brillante, Borello, Badalato out for Milanovic, and slightest of trips from Stefan Mork is enough for the whistle to blow. Simmons. Zach Clough trying to stay with him. Corner ball.
I suppose that's the other thing Zach Clough has to do in that position, and that's get back and defend. We know what a talent Simmons is getting forward. On this occasion, early on in the game, Clough doing enough.
So Josh Brillante had a corner in the very first minute of the game, which led to that delay after the clash of heads. Let's see what happens here. Again, the outswinger, and Marcelo did get on the end of that one, but no trouble for Delianov.
The young centre-back Kikianis, who's picking up Marcelo. It's a good challenge for a young player, 18 years of age, in just a handful of A-League appearances. I've been impressed with him, to be honest. It's been a bit of a baptism of fire, but he looks pretty calm and composed on the ball.
Yep.
I think his aerial work maybe needs a little bit. He's slightly out of position at times and not attacking the ball in the air, but not a bad start to his young A-League career.
No, I like him. Halloran. Clough. Isaias looking for the switch, and Van der Sar. Nicely picked out by the Spaniards. Van der Sar hits the byline, and there's a chance here, and it's looped over the top, and the goalkeeper just about did enough, along with some assistance from Alex Bonatic to keep it out. Adelaide will come again. Clough's left the ball behind. Tied it up by Lachlan Brook. Probably the clearest sight of goal so far.
Yeah, it was lovely work from Harry van der Sar on this right-hand side. Back across, looping header from Clough, and it was Bonatic, as you mentioned, who cleared it off the line. Stefan Walk was also coming in. Expect to see Ibasuki in those positions for those crosses, but almost giving Adelaide United the lead.
Yes, so he is there trying to take all the pace off the ball, but couldn't quite do that. 37 years young now, Isaias. Recently completed 250 games for the Reds, very much a fan favourite here. Nudged by Lopez on Milanovic. Earlier result today saw Sydney and Melbourne City play out a 1-1 draw, as we watch that coming together again between Lopez and Milanovic. So if the Wanderers were to win this evening, they would move ahead of their great rivals, ahead of the derby next week.
Adds a little bit of extra spice. We'll jump back up into the top 4, and if Adelaide were to lose this game, 8 points adrift of the top 6 behind Sydney FC. It's one they really need to get something out of.
Bonatic. Milanovic. Lopez intent on keeping him facing back towards his own goal. Marcelo. Simmons. Marcelo again, directing the traffic ahead of him. The cross whipped in, and Milanovic arriving and glances the header in off the post. It is a quite brilliant finish, and a super cross from Aidan Simmons. Nicholas Milanovic opens the scoring for Western Sydney Wanderers, and it was a peach.
Absolutely brilliant header from Milanovic. The way he attacked that cross is exactly what you want to see from a man in his front 3. Simmons gets his head up early and wraps it in behind the Adelaide United defence, caught square and napping. Milanovic in behind Javi Lopez and headers it down and low. Delianov could do nothing, and I've been super impressed with Milanovic this season. His 5th goal, and the way he attacked that, he just wanted to score. He wanted it more than anyone else. Brilliant cross in from the returning Simmons, who massive raps on him at the moment, particularly from his coach Marco Rudan. But once again, Adelaide United off to a slow start.
It is a textbook header, isn't it, from Nicholas Milanovic. Excellent finish. As you say, his 5th goal of a very productive season. And here's a stat that will worry Adelaide still further. It's the 8th time that the Wanderers have taken the lead in a game this season, and they've won each of the previous 7.
I was going to mention Javi Lopez was really tight on Milanovic in the last couple of build-up plays, fouling him on a couple of occasions, and we saw him shoot from long range last week against the Mariners to good effect. And on that occasion, he was able to get him behind, face forward, unchallenged. It's poor defending, but take nothing away from the cross. It was a super ball in. A nightmare for defenders running back towards their own goal, and brilliant header gives the Wanderers the lead.
Well, he went early, didn't he, and with pace. And Milanovic had the wherewithal to anticipate that, and he still had an awful lot to do. So make that 16 games without a clean sheet for Adelaide United. Not kept one since round 2. Milanovic looking to hit Borrello over the top, but just slightly overhit.
Wanderers making a lot of forward runs. Borrello, Lockie Brook looking to get in behind and stretch this Adelaide United defence. The longer the game goes on, that's going to open up spaces in the midfield for Hendricks and Brillante to get on the ball and face forward.
Warland, Kitto. Delianov to clip it forward. Clough has some space. He's not made best use of it, and Borrello has nipped in. And the Wanderers back on the attack. Borrello just lost his bearings, and crucially the ball. Mork puts it out in front of Van der Sar. Adelaide's keen for a response. Halloran clips it in. And Clough was just going backwards a fraction, wasn't he? Let's go down and say good evening to Lucas Ronaldo's pitch side for us. How are you, Lucas?
Good evening, boys. Couldn't get much better conditions for football down at pitch side. There was an NPL game here. The Young Reds going up against Campbelltown just before this. That was a bit warmer, but now perfect conditions for football here. And just on that Clisby incident with this Ais a bit earlier, the Wanderers bench weren't too happy with that decision. They actually had to be told to calm down. We know they haven't been too happy with a few of their decisions recently, and just after that one they got told we're only 10 minutes in, so might have to calm it down. But since then, all things a bit more calm. Now they're 1-0 up.
Thanks very much, Lucas. Yeah, the Young Reds copped a bit of a pasting earlier on today.
Yeah,
they're the champions, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are the champions. Some good young players in that side, but I think it was finished 5-0. Yaya Dekuli, one of Adelaide's January signings, getting a run, but obviously on the losing side of things.
Zach Clough on the run at the moment. Outside of him is Ben Halloran, looking for the return. Might have been better off going for goal. And it was a purposeful run from Zach Clough.
Yeah, I'd like to have another look at it, but you'd like Halloran just to get the ball out of his feet there, one touch and maybe strike it.
Here goes Simmons, again looking to find a teammate inside the box. And it needs that intervention from Ben Warland at the expense of another corner.
Yeah, Zach Clough drives at the defence there. You can see that touch. He just loses his momentum with that touch, stalls him a little bit. Maybe his run was a little bit wide as well. Maybe should have narrowed it up and taken that touch forward and directly at the goal. Get that shot away. Carl Viet on the sideline, frustrated that he didn't get a strike on goal, and then up the other end, the Wanderers with yet another corner.
And Adelaide know that they dare not concede again. It's going to be a really difficult evening for them. Brillante's delivery again, and Warland heads out. Now Clough has got the better of Hendricks. And Adelaide steam forward. He's got Halloran in the middle. He's got Mork outside. Still Clough. Went on his own. To be fair to the Wanderers, they did effectively shut down most of the passing lanes.
Yeah, probably not the right option, but as he comes in here, the ball just gets stuck under his feet a little bit. I think he was probably looking to play in Mork or Van der Sar, who had made good runs down the right flank. Obviously fatigue getting the better of him a little bit there as well.
Isaias won't stick for Zach Clough, and there's no foul.
Not the first time, sorry, not the first time Adelaide's lost the ball in the middle of the park like that. They've got to be careful because we know the Wanderers have got pace. We spoke about the forward runs. Haven't seen a lot of Lockie Brook, but we know with the goals he's scored this season, he's certainly capable.
Here's Badalato for the Wanderers. He's become a regular fixture in the starting 11 in recent weeks. That's a good intervention from Kikianis. Really good stretch for the ball. Van der Sar, Clough manoeuvres past Hendricks, plays in Ethan Alagic. The Reds on the move again, blocked by Bonneting. Reset through Isaias. Here's Ryan Kitto, going to blast it. Good try. They're starting to create some chances.
Yeah, a few little openings. I don't mind him taking on the strike. I think he got his head up and As I mentioned, Ibasuki out with injury. There's less of a target in that box. Mork and I think it was Halloran were just coming back, trying to get themselves on side. And I think Adelaide have been guilty this season of, well, for the last couple of seasons, they finish their attacks really, really quickly and very rarely retain possession in the opposition front third. Maybe that's a case where Kiddo can turn out and look to get numbers forward and retain possession. Ask the question of Wanderers defensively. Instead, he went for goal, and it wasn't a bad strike, but in the end, very little trouble for Margush.
Kikianis with a little bump on Borrello, which gives the Wanderers a free kick. Simmons, a little tangle between Brook and Kitto, or rather Borrello and Kitto. Adelaide just going through that sticky spell that clubs sometimes go through. No win in the last 4, 1 point from 12. They've got to stick at it. Try and stay true to their principles of play. Can be difficult though when the pressure starts to build and the points gap between you and the top 6 starts to grow. Strong play by Mork, but perfectly legal. Lopez slides it through. Halloran, good save. Daniel Margush. Point blank reflexes from the former Reds goalkeeper.
Yeah, brilliant save there. Much better from Halloran. Javi Lopez, lovely little ball in behind, and this time Halloran doesn't need to think about it. Pulls the trigger first time. It was a really good strike, actually. I was expecting maybe low and hard across the keeper, but he just tried to sneak it into that near post above Margush's left shoulder and got the left hand up really quickly, and a really strong save to keep the Wanderers in front.
Great reactions from Margush. Still the corner to come. Zach Clough's delivery, and it's headed wide by Kikianis, I think, was it?
Harry van der Sar, I think it was. Spoke about Zach Clough's delivery. Put it on a plate.
Yeah, it was van der Sar.
Middle of the 6-yard box. Has to do that better there. He knows it. Should be at least hitting the target in the end, high and wide.
Hendricks closed down quickly by van der Sar, who wants the ball back. Here's Stefan Mork. They're knocking at the door, Adelaide United.
Wanderers doing themselves no favours, turning the ball over in the middle of the park. Stefan Mork this time wasn't too far away. They're lining up for a shot on goal, the Reds.
Eight shots racked up already. The Wanderers have the one that really counts. Perfect late summer's evening in South Australia. Pitch now entirely bathed in shadow. Lachlan Brook. Nice little pirouette to get rid of Ryan Kitto. Bonatig. Marcelo. Wanderers, of course, have kept 7 clean sheets so far this season. That's joint best number in the competition. So it's not going to be easy for Adelaide to find a way back into this game. Simmons. And Borrello's on the move. And he's got away from Kitto. There are 2 waiting in the middle. And he angled it too close to Delianov.
Adelaide off the hook there. 2 in the middle, just waiting for a tap-in. Spoke a number of times about those forward runs, and Adelaide United just on their heels. Kiakis and Javi Lopez again allowing their attacking players to get goal side, and had that ball been cut back a little bit, it would have been a simple finish.
Brook was the meat in the sandwich there. Kito anxious to get the team moving forward, but a little off balance with the pass. Here's that previous opportunity, Robbie.
We see it there, Lockie Brook just begging for the ball to be cut back. Kikianis trailing. Got to be in front of your defender there. You've got to use your body. As soon as he starts making that run, just block him. You can't be letting him get a free run in a goal like that.
Bonatic. Badalato. Marcelo. There's a bit of space here for Aidan Simmons again on the right. Brillante. Nodded down by Milanovic, but easily away by Kikianis. Wanderers throw. And again, this time off Lopez. Wanderers were unbeaten in their first 6 matches of this season, but it's been a season that's been marked by inconsistency since, not helped by a host of injuries and suspensions. Clisby skipped away from his marker, but again only finds James Delianov. At times a little too easy for the Wanderers to get into those sorts of positions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mork. Clough. Kito's racing forward now to give Clough an option on the left. 3 in the middle to aim for. Bonatic underneath it. Back out for Kito. Reset through Halloran. Clough. Halloran had continued the run. And good soft hands again by Daniel Margush.
They're knocking on the door. Just haven't been able to create that one clear-cut chance. Saw that header from a set piece from Harry van der Sar. That was probably the clearest opening, but the best chance was to Halloran. That was really well saved.
There's the goal from behind the goal. It's just perfect, isn't it, from Milanovic?
It's brilliant. I just love the way he attacked the ball. I think that's one thing in this country that maybe sometimes young players don't do as well as they do in Europe, and on that occasion he met it full-blooded, nodded it down as we mentioned, and it's the difference at the moment.
Right in the part of the goal that is so difficult to reach for the goalkeeper. Simmons with the cross, and there's Milanovic again showing that determination to get there first.
Showed some good signs when he burst onto the scene at Western United, I think it was, and then the move to Western Sydney. He's really come on this season. He looks a real threat. Mentioned his long-range strike last week, which Danny Vukovic pulled out one of the saves of the season to tip onto the crossbar. Seeing a different facet of his game tonight in the air.
Forward by Mork. Back heel by Halloran, but Zach Clough wasn't up level with him. Bonatic. Sayers will chase that one down.
Critical of Adelaide's pressing against Sydney last week. Don't think they won a ball in Sydney's half. They've managed to do it a couple of times tonight, but do look vulnerable once the Wanderers break that press.
Borello managing to find the gap. And in doing so, just had a little bit too much pace on the ball. Lachlan Brook has tracked it down. Fires in the cross, and Milanovic helps himself to a second. Easy as you like. 2 headers, 2 goals from 2 crosses. Too easy for Western Sydney Wanderers.
What a ball in from Lockie Brook. Chased down a lost cause into the corner. Got his head up and looked like he might recycle it, but created a little bit of space on that wand of a left foot of his and whipped it into a very, very dangerous area. We're waxing lyrical about Milanovic. You look at Javi Lopez here, on his heels, on the wrong side. A player of his experience must be doing better there. Again, another brilliant header, almost into the same corner. Lockie Brook's ball into the top of the 6-yard box. Keeper can't come. It's got pace on it. He's got himself a double. I mean, Javi Lopez, and I've spoken about it no more than 5 minutes ago, defenders not goal side It's basic defending. I don't know where you're wandering. If you're trying to push the line up, then you've got to make sure everyone goes with you. But on his heels, and that's probably the third or fourth time Milanovic has got him behind him.
Well, it's Western Sydney who are wandering free. And they are 2 goals to the good. And strangely enough, Robbie, ahead of tonight, Adelaide had conceded only 1 headed goal all season. They were the joint best in the league in that regard, but it's all gone horribly awry for them this evening. In that regard, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like Milanovic is 6'6", is it? It's timing of the run. It's the quality of the cross.
And the finish.
Absolutely. See there, every time the Wanderers go forward and play a forward ball, there was 4 in a line stretching the Reds back 4. They wanted him behind. They're not afraid to go direct, Western Sydney.
Good turn by Milanovic. Shows Lopez a clean pair of heels. Borrello says, no, you take it on yourself, son. You're banging form. And all that on the back of a spell of pressure that threatened to produce an equaliser for Adelaide United, but they've been undone by poor defensive work. And this player has profited, Milanovic. Now Badalato. Simmons in position. Borrello waiting in the middle. Oh, and it's spilled by Delianov. And manages to grab hold of it, maybe at the second or even third attempt. And hearts are in mouths there among the home faithful.
Yeah, it did take a bit of a wicked bounce, to be honest. Looked like it kicked up off the surface, but the Wanderers managed to poke that home 3-0. Would have been just about game over, you would have thought.
Those attacking forays by the Wanderers have gone largely down the right, and they've had a lot of joy. It's the area of the park that's produced the 2 goals. Here's Lopez for the Reds. Up and out by Marcelo. Kito needs an option. Isaias provides. Nice little angle ball back for Clough, trying to bend it into the corner, and Margush beaten, but so too the post.
Another similar type of opening for Adelaide. Decent strike. Isaias with a little slipped pass through. Plenty of traffic. Clough gets it out of his feet and tries to bend it into that far post. It's a decent attempt.
Sent forward by Bonatic. Badalato's touch has inadvertently benefited Clough. Lopez. Van der Sark, nice little touch around the corner for Mork. And he's in position for the return, Harry Van der Sark. And Simmons was calm and composed. And in the end, it's going to be a Wanderers goal kick.
Adelaide has got a few little openings in those wide areas, couple of little cutbacks, shots from tight angles. Again, good running behind from Van der Sark. Does the right thing, and you know, maybe you've got a number 9 up there that's been playing regularly in that position. He's making the run to the near post across the defender to get there first. On that occasion, Halloran pulled off to the back post looking for a tap-in.
There's Harry Van der Sark as the Wanderers turn the ball over. Oh, that's unfortunate. Just completely lost his footing at the point of impact.
This is what you get from Adelaide United this season. They've always got a couple of mistakes in them. They cost themselves a couple of goals. Try to get it back into it before half-time, and more often than not, you'll see a response after the break. Lift spirits a little bit, but never quite doing enough to get themselves in front.
Lockie Brook losing out. All given away by Delianov. Badalato! Well, that could have been curtains. Adelaide all at sea defensively, and James Delianov is a lucky boy.
Just get rid of it, especially at 2-0 at home just before half-time. Just mentioned individual errors have been costing Adelaide this year. We know he hasn't played a lot of football in recent years. Stuck behind Joe Gauci, but getting his opportunity now. Just got to keep it simple.
Javi Lopez. He scored the consolation against Sydney last week. And Alex Bonnetic puts it behind for an Adelaide United corner. They would love to pinch one back before the break, the Reds. Might just tone down the half-time team talk a bit from Carl Beards as well, because he'll be furious at the way they've given away those goals. Zach Clough with the corner. Too flat and easily away by Brandon Borrello. Clough gets another go. Wanderers pilfer the ball. Clisby through the legs of Alagic. Couldn't get clear of Kitto. Here's Lockie Brook. 3 spells himself. A player with Adelaide United. Did actually once say he wanted to play the rest of his career with the Reds, but it's not quite worked out that way.
He was a transfer target in January for Adelaide, and I'm not sure how close it came to happening, but since the end of January, he's been on fire.
Yeah, he's the Wanderers' top scorer with 7. Make that 12 if you include the Australia Cup.
Goal scoring was always an issue in red. Looks as though he's found his shooting boots this season, which is good to see, because technically he's a very, very good player. Still very young as well.
Milanovic and Badalato not quite on the same page. Still only 23, Lachlan Brook. He's got a lot more football left in him. Forward by Kikianis. Slid into touch off the boot of Alex Bonnetic.
Mark Rudin sat in front of us. He's been pretty calm throughout this first half. You'd think he'd be pretty pleased with what he's seen so far.
Well, 2-goal advantage away from home, I guess, does soothe the nerves a little bit. Lopez. It's all a little bit quiet around Cooper Stadium. Normally a place that is really up and about in favour of the Reds, but as we say, they're just going through that little patch of at the moment where things aren't quite going their way. They've got to play through that.
The word around the club is that things at training have been almost frustratingly positive. They've been upbeat at training really well, and they just can't seem to put it into practice at the moment.
You look at their next couple of games, Robbie. Wellington Phoenix away, Melbourne victory at home. That's 2 of the top 3.
Looks a task at the moment, but they absolutely must get something out of this game tonight, you would think.
Here's Clough and Bonnetic, ensuring that Stefan Mork couldn't get on the end of that. They will get a corner though, Adelaide.
Not the first time he's been in the right place, Bonnetic. A couple of really good clearances, another one there. Obviously went into the book very, very early with that high boot. Since then, he's been very clean and in the right place at the right time on a number of occasions.
Clough again with the corner. Plenty of flights. Punched away by Margot Shaw, and there's a bit of a coming together between Lachlan Brook and Ethan Alagic. And Alex King blows the whistle in favour of the Wanderers.
First half bookended by a couple of head knocks.
That was a hip and shoulder, wasn't it, from Ethan Alagic. Starting his 3rd consecutive game in the midfield. And you said to me, Robbie, you feel as though that's a bit of a problem area as well for the Reds. Not quite sure who the first picks are in that area of the pitch.
Yeah, that number 8 position, I'm just sort of curious under Carl Veart, what is the role of that player? Because we've seen Alagic, we've seen Giselle, we've seen Johnny Yull most of the games in there. We've seen Tennercliffe and Isaias in the middle at times, but not sure anyone in that number 8 position has really had an impact on any games. I know defensively they've certainly helped out and they've helped keep the ball tick over, but no one in the front third has really created anything. Johnny Yull's got huge raps on him. He's able to shoot from long range and create, but haven't seen the best of him, and just feel like maybe, not that it's a wasted opportunity, but we just haven't seen the best out of whoever's been in that role in the middle of the park.
Another head knock. It's been a feature of this first half. Josh Berlante, the latest to suffer. Alex King quickly on the case, making sure he was okay. So we restart with a drop ball as the Wanderers were in possession. And we're almost a minute into 5 to be added on at the end of the first half. Well cut out by Clisby. Hendricks. Able to turn through 360 degrees there, the Dutchman. I think he's been a good addition as well for Western Sydney. Very calm on the ball. And trying to float it into the path of Milanovic. Lockie Brook will pick up the scraps and fires wide.
It was Hendricks that did the damage in one of the earlier clashes this season. I think it was the one at Combat that finished 1-0 in the first half. He was able to carry the ball forward on a number of occasions, dink the ball into the back post and really dictated things. Might have even slotted in at centre half in that game.
Well, Josh Berlante was sent off in that game, and he's not been able to cut that ball out. Thankfully for him, Lockie Brook shuts down Stefan Mork, and Hendricks can play in Simmons. Late game to come tonight, the distance derby. Perth Glory in good nick at the moment, hosting the current league leaders, Wellington Phoenix. Game live on Paramount Plus, of course, and double-header tomorrow, Newcastle Macarthur and Melbourne Victory against the Mariners to come. Here's Milanovic. There's too many bodies in the way. And at half-time we'll also update you on how the Matildas are progressing in that big Olympic qualifier against Uzbekistan. Here the question remains, what can Adelaide United do about this 2-goal deficit? He does, of course, Robbie, have a certain Nestor Irankunda on the bench. Carl Veert, maybe half-time too early for him. Who knows? It's a foul by Borrello, careering into Javi Lopez.
Yeah, I know we spoke about that number 8 position. I actually think Stefan Mork should be given that role. He's probably the fittest, most mobile. Javi Lopez copping a hip and shoulder from Brandon Borrello. I'd like to see Clough come back into the middle, play that 10. Stefan Mork maybe in that 8 position in the box-to-box role. We know he's capable of scoring goals, but hasn't so far on his return to Adelaide. And let's get Nestor out wide. Let's get a bit of excitement. Very happy at training from all reports this week after a bit of a rest last weekend.
The width provided here by Kitto. Not the cross, but it will be a corner for Adelaide. And there will be enough time for it to be delivered by Zach Clough. What a lift to goal would give the Reds here. It's that small knot just behind Zach Clough, who are the happiest inside the stadium at the moment, cheering on Western Sydney Wanderers. Alex King's not quite ready. Clisby and Halloran spoken to. Don't push him is the message. The refs say that every game, don't they? It still happens. Just having a bit of a cuddle, the two of them.
Looked like they were dancing.
Now we're ready. Clough flatter this time towards the near post. Swept upfield by Lachlan Brook. Kitto. This will be the last attack. In fact, there's not even time for that. And the half-time whistle goes to a chorus of boos from some of the Adelaide United supporters. Nicholas Milanovic has done the damage. 2 headers from 2 crosses, 2 beautifully executed goals. They might have had a third when James Delinov presented a chance to Alex Badolato. Adelaide have huffed and puffed. One really good save from Daniel Margush to deny Ben Halloran, who's deep in conversation with Marcelo and the officials as they go off to the dressing rooms at the break. But it is Marco Redan who is the happier of the 2 coaches at the interval. It is Adelaide United 0, Western Sydney Wanderers 2. And we're off to a quick break ourselves. On the other side of it, we will dissect all the first half action. Don't go away.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Just with the back and outs off the top, did you want me to just back and outs it and just say, oh yeah, Socceroos will be back next month? Just a little quick one? Yeah, cool. Yeah, sure. Sure.
Geordie Boss with his very first international goal. Here's Jackson Irvine. It's there for Australia. Jackson Irvine. Goodwin. Craig Goodwin on the volley.
Yep, not too far until the Socceroos are back in action after that quarterfinal exit at the Asian Cup against Lebanon. But for your Hungry Jacks halftime show, we are back here at Hindmarsh Stadium with a first half where the Western Sydney Wanderers, well, they've been in full control. Adelaide United really not in it. A few chances early on, and really the only major incidents out of that have been a couple of heavy head knocks for Jack Clisby and also for Stephen Moore. But Adelaide United unable to compete in a game which they really need to win. This would be 5 games winless on the trot if they are to not win here. And for all the highlights, it's now back to Simon and Robbie for the Harvey Norman halftime highlights.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lucas. Well, it was a game in which Western Sydney Wanderers profited from two beautiful crosses and two excellent headers from Nicholas Milanovic, Robbie Cornthwaite.
Yeah, wonderful headers, as you mentioned, Simon. Both crosses coming from that right-hand side and both goals coming from a lapse in concentration. I have to say, from the Reds' defence, and in particular Javi Lopez, take nothing away from the header. Milanovic attacked it, headed it down, in off the inside of the post, and gave Delianov absolutely no chance at all. Simmons only just back from suspension as well, back straight into the starting 11, and obviously providing and showing why he was brought straight back in ahead of Tate Russell. Western Sydney, obviously, we mentioned the forward runs that they've been making in complete control, and I mean, this ball was looking for Brook to be in on goal. He wasn't able to get on the end of it, but chased it down. I said during the coverage that I thought he might look to recycle it. Nothing really on, and again, Adelaide United's back falls on its heels. Another brilliant header from Milanovic, and he's having a wonderful season, Simon.
He sure is. That is 6-4 this season, but the Reds just too slow to smell the danger.
Yeah, and you would think they would have learnt from the first time. Again, that sort of ball in gives Delianov no chance to come out, and once you goal side, all you need to do is put your head on it and guide it into that bottom corner, which he done expertly for a second time. Adelaide United just not at the races and not switched on in defence, which is not the first time this season.
And yet they have racked up 11 attempts on goal, just 3 of those on target. They have huffed and puffed. Zach Clough has been busy, Harry van der Sark down the right, but when they did make the breakthrough, they found Daniel Margush in fine form between the posts as well for Western Sydney Wanderers. One of the returning South Australians, of course, and there are a handful of them in the Wanderers team. And here are some of those opportunities. Stefan Mork arriving late into the box. He's good at that, but they've just not been able to find that final ball or that final touch.
No, Harry van der Sark has probably been one of the best outlets down this right-hand side. Maybe a little bit surprised to see him in that wide position, but obviously got some really good attacking attributes as well as a good cross. Maybe not so good at finding the back of the net with the head. That was a really good opening. It's one of the few times Adelaide managed to pinch the ball in the middle of the park. Stefan Mork. We've seen a number of chances like this, just sort of cutting in and trying to bend one through bodies, but only really that one fine save from Margush from a Ben Halloran opportunity. Again, here's Halloran getting in, looking for the cutback, but cleaned up nicely from Western Sydney, which they've done on a number of occasions.
Zach Clough perhaps coming closest of all with one that just beat the outside of the post, also beats Daniel Margush. So a long way back for the Reds in the second half. Let's have a look at the Paramount Plus player index. Well, Nicholas Milanovic, perhaps no surprise that he is way out in front at the moment. 97.3 out of a possible 100 as they crunch all the numbers. Daniel Margush made that excellent stop from Ben Halloran, and Lockie Brook, who claimed an assist for the second goal. So let's have a look again in a little bit more detail at Nicholas Milanovic. It really has been something of a breakthrough campaign for him.
Yeah, I've been hugely impressed with what he's been able to deliver so far. I think his work rate's been really, really good as well. I think there's been a number of times tonight where he's got the ball to feet, had to keep it or win a foul, which he's done from Javi Lopez on a couple of occasions. There was another opening where he was in behind the Adelaide defence, another header which almost found the bottom corner. He's really causing a lot of issues. We see here he's in the middle of the park, a little bit deeper, finds a nice ball. I mean, this is the second goal. That actually leads to the second goal. He plays it forward, gets on his bike, and in the end, he's the one furthest forward to not at home. So a fantastic 45 minutes for him, and deserves his 2 goals so far.
Still just 22 years of age, 6 goals, 3 assists. He's created 28 chances for his teammates so far this season as well. And he's also profited hugely from the work of Aidan Simmons down the right-hand side. Let's have a look at Zach Clough's numbers and his contribution in the first half. I know that you say you prefer him playing in a more central role, but he's still impacted on the game from out wide.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's had a number of sort of half chances, which he hasn't been able to find the target. This was one where he probably would have looked to lay it off, but wasn't able to get it out of his feet. We know how good he is in the tight areas, and maybe that's why I like to see him more centrally. But, I mean, as a coach, Carl Viet might be looking at it and saying, well, he's still creating plenty, still getting plenty of the ball and getting plenty of sniffs on goal.
Yeah, and that was only a whisker away. Now, Australia, of course, are playing in an Olympic qualifier for the Paris Games coming up in a few months' time. The Matildas are goalless at the break in the first leg of that two-legged tie against Uzbekistan. They've had the better of the opportunities. Mary Fowler testing the goalkeeper there. Hayley Razzo has a chance here, which again is probably should have been taken with a little bit more composure, but they are knocking on the door. Emily van Egmond has had an opportunity as well. A difficult match in very cold conditions, I'm told. It's snowing in Tashkent as well, although thankfully not on the pitch. Hopefully in the second half the Matildas will be able to make the breakthrough in the first leg of that tie and go some way to securing their spots in the Paris Games. And of course, if you're keen to get to game 2 on Wednesday, the second leg of that particular tie, and it takes place at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. I'm not sure there'll be any tickets left, to be honest, at this late stage, but of course you can watch it on 10 Play. The second leg of that Olympic qualifier, the Matildas against Uzbekistan. Lucas, back to you.
Thanks, Simon. That was your Hungry Jacks halftime show. These Reds fans not too happy with what they've seen in that first half. To take you to the break is this goal they called the goal of the century from Tarek Elrich in 2015.
The team is largely the same as last week.
Elrich
Just being made mincemeat of here so far.
still going. Elrich still going. What a run this is by Tarek Elrich. Still he goes on. Elrich! Oh, what a goal! That's a contender for goal of the season by Tarek Elrich. Terrific run and a super finish. 3-0 for Adelaide United. Marvellous stuff.
Welcome back to Cooper Stadium. Second half about to get underway. Adelaide United needing a lift, and Carl Viet has turned to the super sub for the second 45, and that will give the crowd a lift at the very least. Nestori Irankunda on as a replacement for Javi Lopez. Harry van der Sarg will drop in at right back, and maybe that will change the dynamic, Robbie Cornthwaite.
Yeah, we mentioned Javi Lopez just wasn't quite himself tonight. Couple of defensive lapses maybe helping Milanovic in for his two-headed goals, but I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to say that Nestori Irankunda needs to come on. The beauty is, at 2-0 down, the pressure's sort of off him, and the pressure seems to be one thing that might have been getting to him of late, so he's got a bit of freedom in this second half, and let's hope we see him back to his flying best.
He's struggled really ever since that move to Bayern Munich was announced. Floated over the top beautifully by Marcelo. Barello, well, he had two bites at it. Didn't make the cleanest contact with either, and James Delianov snuffs out the danger. And again, right at the outset of the second half, the Adelaide defence almost caught cold.
Yeah, that run in behind. His first touch is actually not too bad. I think he looks for the little bit of a dink over the top of the keeper. Just doesn't get a big enough piece of it. Hasn't played a whole heap of football, obviously. 60 minutes last week. Came on early. Maybe just a little bit rusty at the moment.
Josh Berlante's corner towards the near post. Back at it pops for Hendricks, who's given it away, and now away goes Nestori Irankunda. And we know he's got pace, and he's very direct. Aidan Simmons is not slow either, though. And he matched him stride for stride.
Well, that's what he does. He gets you 80 metres up the pitch. There was pretty much nothing on. Adelaide in their back third after defending a set piece, and you give the ball to him at his feet, and he gets you all the way up in your front third and numbers forward. He's not scoring or creating a chance, but he's making things happen.
Halloran can't reach the throw. Adelaide attacking the end of the ground where the Red Army is located, and if they do get one back, the whole atmosphere around this ground will change. Turned back by Kitto for Warland, who scored twice in a 3-2 win for Adelaide against the Wanderers at Combank Stadium late last season. Kitto. Corner for the Reds.
The other thing he does, Nestor, is obviously give you another option for set pieces. We know he can take corners and free kicks, but most of all, he puts defenders on notice. I wasn't the fastest player around Simon, but if someone like Nestor came on and was running at me, I'll tell you what, I'd be dropping off.
Yeah, you'd give yourself that yard or two, wouldn't you? Clough, plenty of air, pushed away by Margush. Isai is first to react. Van der Sarg. Back through Kitto. Sandwedge out to the right-hand side where Irankunda is stationed. Didn't break kindly for Isaias, but did for Mork. And the Wanderers penned in their own half, but there's a foul by Halloran, which will break that momentum.
There where maybe Adelaide United lack a little bit of craft. You've got two players in really tight areas, experience. Nothing wrong with winning a free kick on the edge of the box. Keep building the pressure. Instead, you give the ball away, trying to create a couple of little flicks and combine in such a tight space.
Marcelo not afraid to go long when the mood takes him. Clough. Great feet from Zach Clough. Halloran almost got in each other's way, but they managed to sort it out, the Reds. Irankunda. Milanovic standing his ground, and Irankunda has been crowded out. But his determination and perseverance gets the throw. And he's trying to get the crowd involved as well, which is exactly what he's been brought on to do. off the head of Clisby. Nodded back by Hendricks and up into the evening sky by Marcelo. Ball just won't sit. Eventually Kito brings it under his spell and will drive through the centre. Now Irankunda. That favoured the goalkeeper.
I think that's where it
was quite brave there as well. Got a bit of a whack on his way through.
He was. I think that's where Nesta can be just a little bit smarter. We know he likes to look for that killer pass all the time and look to take people on, and that's what people love about him. But I think that's where the maturity is going to come in his game, where it's just a simple ball back to Van der Sar and you start again.
He's going to have some of the best teachers in world football, isn't he, when he goes to Germany to play for Bayern Munich. Absolutely gigantic club in Europe. What an opportunity for him.
He might not ignore the layoff to Harry Kane to get things restarted.
Irankunda. Happy to take responsibility. Felt he might have got a little nudge there. Adelaide enjoying good territorial domination here. Alagic might have a go here. Ethan Alagic charged down by Brillante. Clough is after the rebound, but Simmons will get there first. Tied it up by a combination of Marcelo and Brillante, who was having his jersey held. Oh, and then Wallen goes through the back of Lachlan Brook. And things are not too friendly out there. Yellow card for Ben Warland.
I think it might have been to Kiddo for the tug back. I think the whistle might have gone and Wallen's just thought he might get a free one there.
Okay. Ryan Kito it is. First yellow card of the season for the Reds captain. Isaias gets clear of Hendricks with ease. Now Irankunda in the sort of position he loves to attack. Forced wide by Clisby, and it's a corner.
Well defended by Clisby. Remonstrating with his attackers there. Not happy with something. I like this ball, and I like that Nesta takes that first touch inside, runs directly at the defender. Clisby with enough experience to stay with him. Good block.
Adelaide starting to apply some pressure. Are the Wanderers good enough to withstand it? There's more pushing and shoving going on between Clisby and Halloran, those two again. They've been at it most of the night. Alex King keeping a beady eye on the two of them. As we await Zach Clough's corner. And Kikianis was challenging Marcelo, but the Brazilian won it quite comfortably. Back out for Clough. Still plenty forward for Adelaide. It ricochets in the direction of Alagic. Now Kito. He's got it stuck between his feet for a moment there, Ryan Kito, but managed to readjust. The Wanderers are going to make their first change next break in play. Oscar Priestman is standing by on the sidelines. Meantime, Irankunda is drifted out to the left. That's a handy ball too for Clough. They're queuing up in the middle. Marcelo's there.
Yeah, good defending from Marcelo. You could see Ben Halloran had peeled off looking for that cutback. The experienced Brazilian tracked him all the way. Wanderers just struggling to retain possession. Maybe that's why they're making this substitution.
But not just yet. Now they'll get the opportunity. So it's Oscar Priestman for Jorrit Hendricks. Youth for experience. Just back in the team after suspension, of course. Marco Redan perhaps doesn't want to take any chances in terms of match sharpness. So the 20-year-old Oscar Priestman comes on with the responsibility of helping to protect this 2-goal cushion for Western Sydney. And if they do see it out, they will be in 4th spots this evening. Has been taking his time with the throw. Borrello hitting the byline. Kikianis in close attendance. Van der Sar as well. Borrello's strong enough to hold both of them off and still get away from them. And the cross isn't bad either, but Delianov plucks it out of the air. And he really shouldn't have been able to escape from that little pincer movement he was in.
He was shielding the ball so well that I think Kikianis just thought, oh, well, I'll go and take it. And as soon as he got the wrong side of him, he had enough experience, Borrello, to turn and run away with it.
He's so strong as well. That's a great touch from Lockie Brook. And a second, what a goal this could be. Lachlan Brook, oh, it's inches wide. What a goal that would have been on his return to Adelaide. That was mesmeric.
I think he only touched the ball twice and went past 2 defenders. You see, he just nips it inside, gets rid of 2. Kikianis doesn't come across with enough conviction and just wide off the upright. Lovely ball, takes it over his shoulder with his outside of his left foot. Dinks it over the on-rushing Delianov and just wide of the upright. Shows why he's been so dangerous this season. Would have been good night.
Well, I was put in mind in that instant. Harry van der Sarg's got a problem, by the way. I think it's just cramp. I was put in mind of a goal Georgie Kinkladze scored back in 1996 for Man City against Southampton, where he just touched and weaved his way past 2 or 3 defenders. And that was similar from Lockie Brook without, unfortunately for the Wanderers, the same finish.
It looked quite simple, but from the throw-in, I think it was, the ball was sort of just dropping over his right shoulder. Took it with the outside of his left foot to go past Kiddo and another Reds defender. We see here, goes inside of Wallen, gets rid of both of them. Touch past Kikianis, and then just puts it wide. Harry van der Sarg maybe does just enough. No, probably being a bit kind.
I think it's the keeper who does more than anything.
Yeah. Almost scores on his return to Highmarsh.
It would have been a wonderful goal, but it stays at 2-0. And a long delay for Harry van der Sarg to get some treatments. And Giuseppe Bobolina is going to be his replacement. Understandable that Harry van der Sarg, after such a long layoff, is running a little short on petrol.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably would have only been earmarked for 60 minutes. I'm not sure they would have planned on taking Javi Lopez off. Probably would have been Aaron Kunda for van der Sarg around now in that wide position. I've got Bovolina, who's played plenty of football as well. Had a little bit of a spell, young player who maybe just needed a little bit of a rest. He's been impressive, but still a lot to work on, Bovolina, particularly defensively.
He's good going forward, isn't he?
It's only half of his job, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think was he a winger when he was a younger player? Which is perhaps why he's got those attacking instincts. Here he is going forward.
He's got a wonderful engine.
Yeah.
He can get forward and back. I just think his decision-making in the back third probably just needs to relax and stop trying to win the ball so quickly and getting beaten or giving away a free kick, but that'll come. It's not an easy position to play.
Is that long wait for a home win over the Wanderers about to be extended for Adelaide United? Over 6 years since their last win. Somebody on the Wanderers bench has talked themselves into the book. It's not John Paul de Marini. Maybe Jess Van Straten, the goalkeeping coach.
Yellow card hasn't done much to silence him by the looks of things.
Coolly done by Bonatic. Clisby looking to take on Iran Kunda, and the two of them collapse like two drunks on a dance floor.
Clisby's been dancing with everyone tonight.
Kitto. Kikianis. Into the final half an hour. Still plenty of time for the Reds to try and turn this one around. Knocked on by Kitto, but Marcelo just easing the Reds off the ball, however briefly. Warland. All a bit tight in there. It's going to be a Wanderers throw. Albeit still has a big problem to solve.
Still got Luka Jovanovic on the bench, of course. Another attacking option, another young player.
Then Warland penalised for going right over the top of Borrello. And Priestman was quick to get on with it. Too quick for Lockie Brook. Clough. Mork. Iran Kunda manages to dig it out. Yeah, I think that's where it's got to think a little bit, but he's desperate to get the Reds on the board.
Almost too eager. We know he's capable, but it's not going to be every time you score from that distance. It's going to be once every now and again. Better options and smarter decisions to be made.
Nicholas Milanovic has just pulled up a little bit sore. Back of this little skirmish.
I think Iran Kunda maybe just catches the back of his right calf. It's been quiet to start this second half. The goal scorer.
Bonatic, oh, it's a risky ball, but the Wanderers have done well to play through that press, at least for the moment. Now they can get out, and Badalato has room to turn. Clisby out in front of him. Clisby's cross towards Brook at the back post. The back header for Borrello, who drilled it in with real power. And Adelaide survive. That was a really good counter from the Wanderers.
Yeah, lovely ball in from Clisby as well, very deep. Just wondered whether Lockie Brook was able to get the front of his head on the ball and try to have a go at goal. It wasn't a bad option. But you saw once they broke that Adelaide United press, Badalato was in acres of space in the middle of the park, was able to free up Clisby. It was a really good opening for the Wanderers.
I actually think that just illustrates Lockie Brook's game awareness here as well. He knows that Borrello is arriving behind him.
I think you're right, Simon. I think it was the right decision. Ball was probably a little bit wide for him to be able to go for goal, and probably took the better option. Very clever play.
Bovalina. Full moon has just appeared over the stand on the opposite side of our commentary position. Nothing for the Reds fans to howl about just yet, though.
See there, Brian Kitto getting forward in a good crossing position. Only really Stefan Mork and Halloran in any sort of position where you might be able to get a decent chance. Nestory and Kunda still out on the opposite sideline. He needs to be getting in at the back post there into goal-scoring positions as much as he possibly can.
Kikianis. Bovalina. Nice little angle ball for Stefan Mork, and Marcelo, so cool and composed, reads the game so well. Immediately turned over by his teammates, which he'll be unhappy about, as he did the hard work. Here's Iran Kunda. Bonneting trying to step out. The Reds had bodies there. Here's Alagic, all very tight in there. Irankunda trying to burrow his way through. They have to settle for a corner, Adelaide United.
Just wonder how long Milanovic is going to last. Sort of hobbling around. Options on the bench for the Wanderers.
There's that wonderful night sky in South Australia. Perfect view of the planet where Neil Armstrong uttered those famous words.
The planet? The moon? Is it a planet?
Decent ball in and headed wide by Bovalina.
He's surprisingly good in the air, Bovalina. He does get his head on a fair few crosses from right back. Good ball in from Zach Clough. He attacks it well. Not for the first time tonight. Adelaide United unable to find the target.
Brillante. Priestman. Clisby on first time for Borrello. Badalato. This is nice build-up play from the Wanderers. Clipped in by Borrello, but just too high for Lockie Brook. When they do get outs from that press from Adelaide, the Wanderers sweep forward really nicely. That's a foul on Irankunda.
Yeah, that probably looks their best avenue to goal at the moment. Playing out through that press and out into the space, running at the Adelaide United back four, which is pushing numbers forward now. We know Bovalina's going to bomb on. He did get clipped there.
Yeah,
I think Clisby just
stepped across.
Yeah, just stepped across, blocked his run, didn't allow him to get away and get ahead of steam up.
He's not got a yellow card, which is why Adelaide are protesting. Look at this high defensive line from the Wanderers. They throw a blanket over all of them. They are way out of the penalty area. Now they'll drop. Isaias slides it in behind. Mort will reach it. It's going to be another corner. The Wanderers are unhappy about that. They felt that Mort got the final touch.
Adelaide United trying something different there. For a little 1-2 to try to counteract that high line from the Wanderers.
Clough's latest corner, and Warland's got underneath it. Partly out by Simmons. Warland there again. Marcelo is strong. Warland a third time. And now Clough. Isaias. Who will the ricochet favour? It's Alex Bonneting who gets his foot in. And the Wanderers have had to do a fair bit of defending in this second half. It's difficult to remember Daniel Margush really being tested.
It's just that one chance in the first half from Halloran. Certainly not in this second half.
Luka Jovanovic is going to be introduced. Next break in play, which is now. And Ethan Alagic takes his leave. So an attacking change by Carl Beard. He has to do it. Taking off a midfielder and throwing on a striker. It'll mean another little rejig. They are desperate to find solutions to the problems that those two first half goals by Nicholas Milanovic have created. Bovalina. Goal kick, the verdict this time. Let's go down to Lucas Ronaldo.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Just wanted to point out Ben Halloran, of course, he's now moved over to the left-hand side. He was dropped last week by Carl Viet, who criticised this week his training performances and a lack of pressing. Well, there was a few times in the first half where Stefan Mork was the one that was sort of bypassing him and being the one to press the goalkeeper. You see Luka Jovanovic do it now. So it'd be interesting to see. He has done a little bit more in this second half. It'd be interesting to see what Carl Viet makes of his pressing in this game so far.
I guess we'll find out when he selects his 11 for Wellington next week.
If he's in the squad.
Yeah.
I think he's been okay tonight, to be honest. I think hasn't really put a foot wrong. He's tried hard and had a couple of little half openings, that one good chance that we mentioned. He's still got another 20 minutes or so to impress out on this left-hand side. Now he's moved out here. Zach Clough gone into his more central position, and Jovanovic up front, as Lucas mentioned.
And you feel that gives the Reds a better balance?
I just look out there now and I feel like everyone's playing in the position that's most natural to them. I think Mork and Clough at 2-0 down are probably both going to be playing as 10s, and Isaias will be left to anchor that midfield. So it might be a little look at what's possible for Adelaide moving forward.
Irankunda to float it for Mork at the back post, and he does keep it alive. Priestman to scramble it out of play for the Wanderers.
Carl Beard's spoken a lot this season, particularly early on, about numbers in the box, and I think it's probably been highlighted well tonight with that little header back. No one able to be really near to it to be able to pounce on it. And whenever they do get crosses in, there's only ever seems to be 1 or 2 players in there.
Still plenty of time left in this game. 20 minutes plus stoppages. Kito's cross too close to Margush, who's been very solid between the posts against his former club. Not had an awful lot to do, but what he's had to do, he's done pretty well. Brook and Kito scrapping for the ball. Two players who will know each other well.
Halloran having a swig of the pickle juice, so he might have done a bit more running than we thought, unless that week off hasn't freshened him up.
Borello was offside, but Alex King has waved that away because Adelaide are on the move forward. Mork swings it out towards Irankunda. Chance for him to run at Clisby, trying to dart between the two defenders, and I think Milanovic has got stepped on again by Irankunda. Accidental, I'm sure, but it still hurts. And the Wanderers' 2-goal heroes are in a bit of pain here.
Didn't look too severe, but there was definitely a little bit of blood behind his right calf. I don't know if that was from the first one or the second one we see here. Good defending, gets across.
Yeah, he's got a kick, hasn't he? Again.
Might be time to wrap him up in some cotton wool.
Well, he is the 2-goal hero tonight for Western Sydney. They both came in the first half, both headers from terrific crosses, but great finishes both as well.
Yeah, he's been the difference tonight. You see he picks the ball up here in the midfield, plays it forward to Borello. Instead of standing still, he's on his bike. He runs past 2 Adelaide United midfielders, gets himself in the box, and eventually Lockie Brooks swings it in, gets in front of his defender. Simple finish in the end. He's been the difference, as I said, and he's had just a wonderful season, really. A breakout season for him so far.
Well, you mentioned that he made the breakthrough with Western United, but before that he was actually with the Wanderers, his hometown club, in their NPL team. So it's been a case of him going back home and really making his mark this season in particular. More of a defensive effort in the second period here, but the Wanderers will have expected that.
Well, you think
they're good at keeping clean sheets, aren't they? They're within sight of an 8th of the campaign.
Yeah, you think about the way that the Wanderers have played in this second half, whether by design or by necessity, but they really haven't got themselves into those wide areas to be able to put crosses in behind the Reds' back four. It's been a lot more through the middle and sort of like this, breaking the line and running at the Reds' back four.
That's a real spoiling tactic from Halloran. Oh, it's a red. Straight red issued by Alex King to Ben Halloran. Well, I think that answers the question as to whether he'll be in the squad for Wellington next week. He went through the back of Aidan Simmons, and Alex King had no doubt.
I must say, I was a little bit surprised first look. I mean, he's just clipped him, hasn't he?
I mean, it's a foul. I think it's a yellow card, but
I think it's...
Is it worthy of a red? I mean, I guess it's setting up an attack for the Wanderers. It's.
I mean, he has got him very, very high.
That angle tells a different story, doesn't it?
I don't think it's a case of him trying to clip him to bring him down. I think he's just trod on him. I think he wanted to foul him. I don't think he was trying to clip him with the feet. I think he was trying to pull him back, and then somehow he's managed to stand on the back of his calf. I think a red is a little bit harsh. I'm surprised he's given a red, to be honest. He's obviously seen it as a bit of a stamp.
Well, I don't think VAR is going to see a clear and obvious enough error to overturn it, so Ben Halloran has to go. And that won't put him in the good books with Carl Weerts. He's just made Adelaide's task here this evening that much more difficult, and it was tough enough as it was. And the Wanderers, who've had so many issues with decisions and cards going against them in recent weeks, will perhaps feel as though luck has finally turned for them. And the boos ring out. It's been that sort of a night for Adelaide. Frustration. Oh, Stefan Mork has got involved in a tangle with Brandon Borrello on the near touchline. The elbow made contact with the head of Borrello, who then kicks out at Kitto, and Alex King has got more sorting out to do. Daniel Cook is the fourth official. He had the eagle-eyed view of it. Linesman David Walsh across to offer his opinions as well. It was something and nothing, really. But just leaning into Borrello with the elbow on the head. And then he falls into Brandon Borrello. And then Kitto just glances the noggin of Borrello as well.
It's unravelling for Adelaide. Just prior to that, you saw Mork as he came in. He had eyes for Borrello, but I mean, I think he's gone to push him maybe in the back, and
watch
Borrello's,
this, just a little kick,
oh,
and then Borrello kicks out as well.
Does Borrello get away with that? That's retaliation.
Well, to be honest, maybe, but I think Stefan Mork maybe has got away with one as well. That's offside against Milanovic.
I'm pretty sure Carl Weert will be bringing that up in his press conference. He'll be, from judging by his reaction, he didn't look happy with the Halloran decision, and once he sees Borrello kick out like that, he probably feels that needs a caution. I mean, there was so much going on in there, you could probably have given 3 yellow cards.
Well, it's just all frustration boiling over, isn't it? From Adelaide's point of view. Looks very much as though they're going to go 5 games without a win, Adelaide United. The first time that will have happened since the end of the 2021-22 season. And it will mean that it will be 5 without success here at Coopers. Normally a stadium where they are so strong.
Yeah, their home form this season's just been nowhere near good enough, which is surprising because of the way they started the year. Beat Central Coast and Melbourne City here. 9 goals scored in those 2 games from memory. And maybe that gave the fans and us as football pundits the impression that maybe they were going to be a little bit better than what they've turned out to be. A false sense of expectation. But the table doesn't lie.
Well, they got 12 minutes to change that. Iran Kunda earns a throw off Marcelo.
Western Sydney have been good value. They haven't been having the best of time themselves. Away form is always difficult. Lost away to the Mariners last time out.
Yes, he has kept that ball alive. Clough. And here's Luka Jovanovic trying to shoot on the turn. Couldn't work the goalkeeper.
Yeah, right idea. Again, Clough finding a little bit of space. Manages to get the body on the half turn, and a snapshot tries to go and wrong foot the goalkeeper. And Stefan Mork, early on in his career, was a bit of a, maybe he had a hot streak in him, a little bit of a hot head, but seems to have calmed down a lot over the last couple of years. Certainly as skipper, the former skipper of Adelaide United, his last spell was fantastic. Maybe just needs to be careful here. He's sort of treading the line a little bit.
Chested down by Isaias. Evades the onrushing Badalato quite nicely. Wanderers preparing a double change, incidentally. Dylan Parias and Sonny Kittle are going to be introduced by John Paul de Marini on the sideline very shortly.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Brandon Borello come off. We mentioned long layoff through injury and 25 minutes a fortnight ago, 60 last week.
Dylan Parias, of course, brings pace, which is a great outlet to have late on in the game when legs are starting to tire. Here's a bit of space for Ryan Kitto. In towards the near post. Oh, and it's just glanced over by Jovanovic. Decent chance that, and he had to take it first time.
He did. He is a bit of a predator. He's got a real nose for goal. He just looks like a player that loves to score. Lovely ball in from Kitto. Wrapped it in behind the Wanderers' back four. Jovanovic getting in front. Not a good piece of it. Just unable to keep it under the crossbar.
Well, to answer your question, Robbie, it's not going to be Brandon Borello who has his number called. Instead, it's Alex Badalato and Nicholas Milanovic, whose night's work has been particularly impressive. Dylan Parias and Sonny Kittle, the two changes, in fact, make that three, because Aidan Simmons, who set up that first goal with a beautiful cross, has made way for the introduction of Dylan Shikluna, who I thought was the man of the match for the Wanderers against the Mariners last week, and was dropped as a result.
Well, he obviously did enough to stay in the squad, because the suspended Tate Russell is the one that misses out. Headaches at right back for Marco Rudan.
Corner taken short, fired in by Clough. Reset through Isaias. Clough again. Outside of the boot, the cross was a good one, and Bonatic defended it superbly. He and Marcelo have been excellent. Was that handball against Brillante? Alex King says no. Parias getting involved in the thick of the action, and earning a throw for his side. Yeah, it certainly struck the hand. Was close by the body. And Brandon Borello's now just pulled up a little lane with cramp. He's put in a good shift. He always does, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he's going to be key for this side, as he always is in the run into the finals with the problems. And Thompson's got obviously out for 8 weeks.
Time starting to run away for the Reds. They need a goal from somewhere. Irankunda trying to provide it. Pops out for Zach Clough. And Clisby got his head to it. Still there for Bobolina. Behind him is Mork. Fires in the cross. Almost sat for Kitto. And there are one or two Adelaide players who just sort of half appeal for a penalty for that contact on Kitto. Perhaps more in hope than expectation.
Yeah, great cutback here. Zach Clough, this looked like it could be heading for the top corner. Zach Clisby with a really good header. Just as the Wanderers look to make another substitution, Brandon Borello coming off. Got Josh Perante hobbling around in the background as well. He stayed down when that cross from Irankunda came in. Looked like cramp, but he's sort of stretching out his left hamstring as well now. So a few tired bodies for Western Sydney.
Well, they're just going to hold fire on that change for a moment. No, Brandon Borello back in the city of churches, the town where he was born, takes his leave, and he won't mind those boos as he is replaced by Nathaniel Blair. He's on for just his third appearance of the season, 4th in fact. Parias. Here's Sonny Kittle. Priestman trying to dig it out. Oh, and Nathaniel Blair was prepared to throw his body at the ball at the back post. It's really well defended, in fact, by Kikianis.
Brilliant from Kikianis. It's a simple tap in at the back post, I think, for Blair, had he not intervened. Tired, stretching out. Still an uphill task, but gives the Reds some sort of hope.
Floated towards Bobolina by Clough. It's not a bad cross, but Shikluna got a portion of it. Irankunda gets around him, not once, but twice. And Marcelo, as he's been for most of the night, in the right position at the right time. Another corner for Adelaide.
Yeah, Marcelo's been outstanding tonight, in the right place at the right time. Irankunda cutting in and out, cross into the near post. I think that's Berlante down with that hamstring.
Yep. Doesn't look good for Josh Berlante. This is the As Live ladder, which confirms that if it stays this way, the Wanderers will be 4th, ahead of MacArthur on goal difference. Of course, they've got the same number of wins, which this season, to everybody's surprise, has become the first tiebreaker.
The Wanderers fans will be happy.
Ahead of that big derby against Sydney next week, who would be a point behind. So Luke Dizelle is on for Zach Clough, who walks rather disconsolately away. And his first task is to take the corner. Stefan Mork has also been replaced. Austin Ayubi, who was good off the bench last week against Sydney. Set up that late goal for Javi Lopez that gave him a bit of hope. Here's Dizelle's corner, good take, Margush. Berlante still off the field, but wants to rejoin the fray.
I think Carl Viet will point to the fact that Adelaide's created a number of openings in this second half without any of them being clear-cut, but it's too little too late. I spoke about it in the first half. This is what the Reds kind of do. Get off to a slow start, fall behind, and then throw the kitchen sink at the other side and either pull one back or cop another one at the other end.
And just that one chance that Luka Ivanovic scooped over the bar. Nicholas Milanovic still way out in front. I don't think he's going to be topped tonight by some late drama in the Paramount Plus Player Index. He's got the luxury of being able to watch his teammates defend the 2-goal lead he's given his side. But we've seen late comebacks in this league before. Here's a chance for Giuseppe Bobolina. The Wanderers stand firm once again, and Clisby sees it out.
Yeah, they've got a lot of numbers back in the box, and that's why they've kept, well, potentially 8 clean sheets this season. Very hard to get through that congested penalty area.
Defeat tonight, Robbie, would leave the Reds 8 points adrift of the top 6. Less than 10 games to go.
Yeah, they're going to need someone who's inside the 6 to fall over, and then all the teams around them to not really do anything either. So, I said during the week, if the Reds don't win tonight, I don't think they can make the finals.
There you go. You heard it from Robbie Cornthwaite. This is Ayubi. And it's another corner. I'm sure Carl Beert will have other ideas, but This one looks to be getting away from them. Iran Kunda's a little sore after that previous attack. Adelaide move into double figures in terms of corners. It's goals they need. And we're in stoppage time as of now, of which there will be 8 minutes. So a fair chunk to be added on. Isai is to hang it up. Bovalina attacks it. Marcelo there again. Retrieved by Kitto. Still nothing to cheer for the home fans. Nathaniel Blair holding the ball up for the Wanderers, but now the turnover affected, and Jovanovic. Well, there's no faulting Adelaide's effort, but they just haven't been able to find the requisite quality tonight.
Oh, it's the story of their season. I mean, players, as I mentioned, sort of a little bit makeshift in a way, out of position, haven't been good enough defensively, and just sloppiness, as we've seen there from Wallen.
Yep, that is a sloppy ball, and this is Parias. This could seal it. Nathaniel Blair. Good save, Margush, to keep Adelaide alive. Sonny Kittle. More eager to retain possession of the ball for the Wanderers. That's a good stop from James Delianov. Parias to go again, twisting this way and that, and firing over the crossbar.
It was a really good chance for Blair. Not sure if he was onside. Delianov does enough to come out. Maybe just needed that finesse, a little bit of a dink on over the on-rushing keeper. He's got a bit of a Matt Simon about him, I reckon.
Here they go again, the Wanderers. And a free kick. Earned by Brook. And that little nod of acknowledgement and almost resignation from Isaias tells you everything you need to know about Adelaide's evening. It has been pretty wretched for the Reds. Ben Halloran sent off with a quarter of an hour to go. They have huffed and puffed, but never really looked likely to blow down the Wanderers' house. And, oh, fired into the side netting. That wasn't a bad free kick, was it?
Caught me off guard. I thought it was in for a second.
Sonny Kittle almost taking the place by storm. Iran Kunda losing out to Shikluna, who in turn is robbed by Kitto. Kikianis. Ayubi. That's a handy ball from the substitute, and Kitto just out of his reach. And the final touch is off Marcelo. It's going to be corner number 11, I think. They've had a few, but not really made too much of them, in fairness.
It's now or never to get themselves back into this contest with less than 5 minutes remaining.
Well, they've scored stoppage time goals, Adelaide, in each of their last 2 matches. Last week it was too little too late. It's corner number 12, in fact, which Duzel now delivers, and Margush again comes out to punch clear. Last home game it was Panayotis Kikianis who got them out of jail with stoppage time equaliser against Perth. Javi Lopez's goal last week was all to no avail against Sydney. Here they go again against the Wanderers. Iran Kunda, and they do have a stoppage time goal. Hope at last. The late show for Adelaide United. Luka Jovanovic gives them just a little glimmer with less than 4 minutes to go.
Well, that's what he can provide. We've seen him create a couple of little openings since coming on. Iran Kunda direct, and this is what we talk about, the maturity of Nesta. Instead of taking the shot on, lovely little through ball. Jovanovic with his left foot, sliding it past the keeper. For once, Marcelo unable to stop that Adelaide United attack, and with 4 minutes to play, they couldn't, could they?
Well, we've seen stranger things happen in this league. Iran Kunda created it. It's a lovely little threaded ball through. And a very tidy finish from Luka Jovanovic. And that is the sort of headache late on, I guess, that Marco Rudan, watching high in the stands, did not need.
No, and they've had a couple of half chances to bury it. Blair, obviously, most recently. Now it's backs to the wall for the last few minutes as Adelaide throw everything they can forward.
Oh, it's behind, not where Lockie Brook wanted it to go. Nestor Irakunda urging the crowd to get to their feet and rouse the Reds for one last hurrah. Could they turn it around? They did late on against Perth, last home game. 98th minute it was then. Here's Duzel's corner, Margush to punch clear once again. He's been almost unbeatable in those set-piece situations. And the Wanderers have got an injury. I think it's Sonny Kittle who's gone down. And Alex King blows the whistle, and the Adelaide fans don't like it. And Mark Milligan in particular is out at the edge of the technical zone. Eugene Galekovic joining him as well. And they are giving the fourth official and the linesman on this near side a fearful spray for blowing the whistle.
Well, you can see what it means.
They've sat down now, by the way, now that you've seen that picture.
Milligan and Galekovic were up off their seats. I want to see what happened in the background here. Bovalina, I mean, I'm sorry, but I know that camera's a long way away. Certainly an outstretched arm, but it doesn't look anywhere near his face. I mean, that was pretty reckless from Isaias as well. He's coming across to have a look. I'll stand corrected. He's going to have another look at this one.
Yeah, possible red card review here for Alex King. Is there enough in that from Bovalina?
It's a little slap on the chest.
Yeah, just
I mean, you look at where contact's made and where he goes down. I mean, it's play on in my book.
Well, I guess if you get a little rabbit punch to the ribs, it does hurt, but...
I mean, there's no need for Bovalina to do that, let's be honest. If you do that, you're asking for trouble. But from that angle there, in my opinion, that's not enough to warrant a red card.
Well, clearly, Chris Griffiths-Jones, who's in the VAR booth, felt it was worth a second look. And they're having a long old chat about it. Let's see what the verdict is. Maybe he's in bother here, Bovalina. And Bovalina has been called to have a chat with Alex King.
Well, he's given a free kick, so he's got to give something, doesn't he?
Yep. It's yellow.
Get on with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can call me biased. You can call me an Adelaide United fan. It's not. Just get on with the game.
Well, this was always the issue, and VAR was brought in, but anyway, there we go.
And
maybe that's what Adelaide are irritated about as well, and what led to that little lash out. They felt that Kittle impeded Bovalina in the first place.
I think it's better I just don't say anything.
I tell you what, there's probably more of a stamp on the far side on Isaias from Lockie Brook. Anyway, you can pull apart every single action in the game and review it, can't you?
Absolutely.
If the will is there.
I would have done that a million times, I reckon, in my career.
Lifted forward by Isaias. We're in the 100th minute of the game now. And Adelaide still in with a fighting chance. Duzel's cross. Marcelo gets it only partly away. Ayubi! That was travelling towards the back of the net.
Looked in. It's not the first time tonight the Wanderers have got bodies in the way of a goal-bound strike. The header, Wallen was flying in first of all, and Ayubi shot on target.
And the Wanderers are sweating late on. Here's the corner from Ayubi. Out it pops, Isaias. Couldn't get over the top of the ball. And over the bar it goes. Hasn't scored for the Reds since April 2019. But this was travelling goalwards.
Again, Marcelo getting across. Vital block. That was back across the keeper. Looked to be finding that far corner. It might be done and dusted now.
How much longer does Alex King play on? It was a fair old delay while he went and checked the VAR screen. So he might have a minute or two left yet. Shikluna nods it forward. Farias. Trying for the Reds, and they need to get the ball forward quickly. Warland. Square for Isaias. Kikianis. Dizelle. Feels for handball against Bonatic. Adelaide will have to settle for a throw. It might be all on this. Launch back with some nervous faces on the Wanderers bench. Isaias with the cross. Iran Kunda was waiting if Ayubi was able to dig it out. A check of the watch from Alex King. There can't be too long left. Adelaide must launch it, surely. Warland does just that. Brought down by Bovalina. It's a corner. And there will just be time. Jean-Paul de Marini saying, how much longer do we play on? This has surely got to be the last chance. Saloon for the Reds. The outswinging corner, it's not a bad one, but Marcelo is there again. And fitting that he had the final touch. He was excellent tonight. So too with the Western Sydney Wanderers. It's a night of utter frustration for Adelaide United. 2 goals from Nicholas Milanovic enough, despite that late scare and late goal for Luka Jovanovic. A big win for the Wanderers. They move up to 4th on the ladder, their 4th away win of the campaign. A timely boost ahead of the Sydney derby next week. But Adelaide failed to win at home for the 5th consecutive match. It's their worst run here since 2012. And the finals now perhaps a long shot. They are 8 points behind the top 6, having played a game more than some of their rivals. Ben Halloran sent off with a quarter of an hour to go as well. And despite that grandstand finale, they could not find the equaliser. Full time at Coopers. Adelaide United 1, Western Sydney Wanderers 2. Well, a good contest, Robbie Cornthwaite, but in the end, was that the right result?
Yeah, I think it was, to be honest. I think Wanderers were really good value, particularly away from home. Were completely in control or on top in that first half. Scored 2 really, really nice goals. Yeah, Adelaide had a couple of openings, but didn't really offer too much. And it wasn't until they went